My name is Claire Whitmore. I'm 34 years old, and until that Christmas night, my family believed they knew exactly what I was worth. 4 months of rent? My younger sister said, holding the letter from my sealed envelope between two fingers as though it smelled bad. She looked around the crowded living room, waited until every cousin, aunt, and family friend was watching, then smiled. She's trying to compensate for the fact that she's not needed by this family. The room exploded with laughter. Our father laughed hardest. Our mother covered her mouth, pretending to be embarrassed, but I saw her shoulders shaking. Someone near the fireplace raised a phone and recorded everything. My sister turned the letter toward the camera like she had just won a comedy contest. I had spent weeks arranging that gift. Her landlord had approved a plan that would cover 4 months of rent while she found steady work. Instead, she held my generosity up as proof that I was pathetic. I reached across the table and took the envelope from her hand. "Good to know," I said. She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, don't be dramatic." I opened my phone, entered a security code, and pressed a button I had hoped I wouldn't need. Nobody noticed at first. They were still joking about me when 3 phones began ringing almost simultaneously. Our father stood so quickly that his chair struck the wall. My sister's smile disappeared. Our mother stared at a notification and whispered my name. Within 15 minutes, everyone who had laughed was shouting over one another. "Claire, wait! Please listen to us. You can't do this to your own family." But they still didn't understand. I hadn't ruined Christmas. I had simply stopped protecting them from what they had done. Before I explain what appeared on their phones, and why I walked out while they begged me to stay, tell me, what time is it where you are right now? And where are you watching from? I want to see how far this story travels. The woman laughing with my envelope was my 27-year-old sister, Rachel Whitmore. Our father, Howard Whitmore, owned a struggling marine supply company outside Charleston, South Carolina. Our mother, Linda, worked part-time at a church office and spent the rest of her time explaining why everyone else should sacrifice more for the family. I worked as a coastal infrastructure compliance specialist, inspecting flood control projects and reviewing safety documentation. My career required licenses, a clean professional record, and extreme attention to detail, the same career my family mocked until they needed my credentials. Whenever our father's business failed an insurance review, I corrected the paperwork. When suppliers threatened to suspend his account, I negotiated temporary arrangements. When Rachel couldn't qualify for an apartment, I became her guarantor. When our mother's car died, I paid the down payment on another one. Each rescue was called temporary, but each sacrifice became permanent. Rachel called herself a lifestyle creator. In reality, she filmed restaurant meals she couldn't afford, posted advice about protecting her energy, and quit jobs whenever a supervisor expected punctuality. Our parents called her creative and sensitive. When I worked 60-hour weeks, they called me fortunate. 6 weeks before Christmas, Rachel called crying because her landlord had issued an eviction notice. She claimed a marketing company had delayed paying her. Documents later showed she had received the money and spent most of it on a Miami trip. I should have refused, but I negotiated one final chance. I offered to cover 4 future months if she paid the overdue balance, attended a budgeting course, and authorized automatic payments once employed. The envelope contained no cash. It contained the landlord's agreement and a housing certificate that activated only after she accepted those conditions. 3 days before Christmas, my father asked me to cover a $28,000 shipment. He claimed a client payment had been delayed. I refused and requested the company's records before guaranteeing anything else. He accused me of distrusting my own father and hung up. His reaction bothered me, so on Christmas Eve morning, I checked the online portal connected to an old business guarantee I had signed 2 years earlier. I expected confirmation that it had expired. Instead, I found a new application for an $85,000 credit line. My name appeared as guarantor. The digital signature resembled mine, but I had never seen the document. It contained my salary, professional license number, townhouse value, and a copy of my driver's license. Rachel's email was listed as the recovery address, and our mother had witnessed one of the electronic forms. The lender's fraud department advised me to freeze the application, change my credentials, and preserve every record. That afternoon, I prepared Rachel's rent envelope, formal revocations of every authorization connected to my family, and a fraud report ready for submission. I still attended Christmas hoping there was another explanation. Before the exchange, I privately asked Rachel whether she had helped our father submit a loan application. She barely looked away from her phone. "Dad handles business things. Why are you investigating everyone on Christmas?" When I asked why her email appeared on the account, she claimed he probably needed help resetting a password. It wasn't an answer. I placed the envelope beneath the tree anyway because part of me still wanted to believe she would accept the gift quietly and prove there was one relationship worth saving. Then she opened it, mocked me, and invited everyone to laugh. Our father raised his glass and declared, "Claire has always needed to feel important." That was when I understood. They didn't only take what I offered, they resented me for making their dependence visible. I took back the envelope and activated the notices. One went to the lender, one to the company's insurer, and one to Rachel's landlord confirming that the rent certificate had never been accepted. Then I waited for reality to enter the room. The first phone belonged to my father. He stared at the screen and stepped away from the tree. "What is this?" Rachel's phone rang next. She ignored it, but a text appeared and her expression changed. Our mother received an email and whispered my name. I stood beside the table holding the envelope against my chest. My father marched toward me. "Did you contact Atlantic Coastal Credit?" I revoked an authorization I never gave. His face darkened. "We were going to explain. Before or after you borrowed $85,000 in my name." The room went silent. Rachel jumped up. "Why would you say that in front of everyone?" Minutes earlier, she had live-streamed my humiliation. Now privacy was sacred. Our mother stepped between us. "Your father was trying to save the company." "By forging my authorization?" "It wasn't forged," my father snapped. "You signed for the business before." 2 years ago, for a different account with an expiration date. He lowered his voice. "The company employs 9 people. I did what I had to do." That sentence ended the last argument inside my head. He wasn't sorry. He believed necessity gave him ownership of my identity. Rachel held up her phone. "My landlord says the rent arrangement was withdrawn. You promised to pay." "I promised to give you an agreement. You rejected it in front of everyone." "It was a joke." "You called me unnecessary while holding 4 months of housing. You knew I didn't mean it." "What did you mean?" She had no answer. My father shoved his screen toward me. The lender had frozen the application and suspended a temporary supplier credit line connected to it. "Call them right now," he ordered. "No." "You could destroy my business." "Your decisions could destroy it. I'm refusing to attach my name to them." He demanded to know how I could treat him this way after everything he had spent raising me. "You were my parent," I said. "Food and shelter were not investments that gave you permanent access to my identity." Our mother began crying. Rachel claimed I was giving up on her. Relatives told me to calm down and keep family matters private. I asked one question. "Who uploaded my driver's license?" Rachel looked at our mother. Our mother looked at my father. That silent exchange told me all 3 had known. I announced that I was revoking every guarantee connected to the company, Rachel's apartment, our mother's vehicle, and the emergency account I had funded after a hurricane 3 years earlier. Our mother stopped crying. "You can't remove me. That money was for the family. It is in my name and funded by my salary. But it was for emergencies. Identity fraud is an emergency." The room erupted. My father demanded my phone. Rachel accused me of planning the scene. My mother begged me to wait until after New Year's. I listened for nearly a minute, then turned toward the door. My father blocked it. "You're not leaving until we settle this." Ethan Cole, my boyfriend, stepped beside me. "Move away from the door, Howard." My father looked around, realized everyone was watching him now, and stepped aside. Our mother followed me onto the porch. "Claire, please, we can fix this." Through the open door, Rachel was crying over the landlord's message while our father called the lender. Relatives whispered beneath the tree as though they had just discovered that the family's stability had been built on my credit. "You had years to listen to me," I told my mother. "Now you're asking because the money stopped." I walked toward Ethan's truck while voices followed me through the cold. They had already taken 15 years. I didn't give them another minute. By midnight, I had 43 missed calls. By morning, my family had created a version of events in which I had planned to destroy my father's company because Rachel made an innocent joke. An aunt accused me of humiliating my parents on a holy holiday. A cousin said I was risking 9 employees' jobs. Another relative claimed using my information wasn't fraud because I had helped the company before. Nobody explained why an honest application needed a copied signature. Rachel uploaded a tearful video titled, "When Your Own Sister Uses Money to Control You." She said she had rejected my gift because it contained manipulative conditions. She didn't mention that the conditions were paying her overdue balance, finding employment, and completing a free budgeting course. The original livestream disappeared, but I had saved it. My attorney, Marissa Grant, advised me not to respond publicly. She sent formal notices stating that my parents and sister were not authorized to use my name, credentials, identification, or accounts. My father replied with a voicemail, "You have 48 hours to withdraw this nonsense. If the company loses its supplier account, every consequence will be on you." Marissa saved the recording as evidence of pressure related to the fraud report. The lender's investigation uncovered more than I expected. The loan wasn't only for inventory. Nearly $30,000 would pay delinquent taxes, $20,000 would repay a family friend, and $12,000 was assigned to a digital promotion contract registered to Rachel. Her new media company had no clients, revenue, or employees. My father intended to transfer borrowed money to her for promoting the company online. She had posted 3 photographs of boats. The insurer also discovered that I had been listed as an unpaid compliance officer, which gave the company a lower risk classification because my professional record implied I reviewed its safety procedures. I had never held that position. For years, my father mocked my work as meaningless bureaucracy, while secretly using my credibility to make his business look stable. When the insurer suspended its preferred rate, my father and Rachel came to my townhouse. He pounded on the door while Rachel filmed from the driveway. "You need to sign a clarification," he said, holding out a document claiming I had verbally agreed to advise the company and support the loan. I never agreed. It's the only way to protect 9 jobs. "Your employees didn't submit the application." Rachel shouted. "See? She doesn't care who gets hurt." I pointed toward the security camera above my door and she lowered her phone. My father said signing would allow us to put Christmas behind us. "You forged my name, used my license, and created a false job title. I built that company for this family. You built it for yourself and made me responsible whenever it failed." His face reddened. "You think one government job makes you better than us?" "No. I think asking permission before using someone's identity makes me different." When I refused, Rachel cried that she would lose her apartment. I reminded her that she had spent rent money on Miami. She insisted it was for content. When I called it a vacation, her tears disappeared. "There she is, she said. The jealous sister who thinks her boring career makes her superior." I realized she wanted footage of me losing control, so I closed the door. Before leaving, my father kicked over a planter while the camera recorded everything. The next morning, Rachel falsely posted that I had ignored a family medical emergency. Then our mother called my office, asked for my supervisor, and appeared outside the building telling coworkers I was emotionally unstable. Security escorted her away. That evening, I cried in my car, not because I doubted myself, but because I finally understood how much they were willing to damage to regain control. They would attack my career, relationship, and reputation, then call the damage proof that I needed them. Have you noticed how quickly people call you cruel when your boundaries make their behavior inconvenient? The next day, I authorized Marissa to document the harassment, send a cease and desist notice, and review every account connected to my identity. I stopped trying to persuade my family that I was a good person. I began proving that I was a protected one. The months after Christmas were not peaceful, but they were honest. Without my guarantee, Whitmore Marine Supply lost its preferred insurance classification. My father could continue operating, but he had to pay higher premiums and accept smaller supplier shipments. He sold a fishing boat and used the proceeds to pay overdue taxes. He told relatives I had forced him to sell his retirement dream. He never mentioned buying that boat while asking me to help cover payroll. Rachel lost her apartment 6 weeks later. Her landlord offered another arrangement, but she refused a full-time administrative job because it would interfere with her content schedule. She moved into our parents' guest room and turned it into a recording studio. Her public story also began falling apart. A former friend posted screenshots showing Rachel joking before Christmas about making Claire pay for another quarter. Another screenshot showed her discussing the fake marketing contract with our father. She deleted her accusation video, but copies continued circulating. For the first time, relatives asked why my name appeared on the loan, why Rachel expected company money while the business owed taxes, and why our mother had gone to my workplace. My father shifted from calling me selfish to calling me confused. Our mother claimed Ethan had influenced me against them and suggested a neutral family counselor who turned out to be an unlicensed church friend. I declined. Ethan never pushed me to forgive or seek revenge. He helped install another security camera, replace the broken planter, and organize every message. One evening, he asked, "What do you want your life to look like when this is over?" I had no answer. My future had always been organized around anticipated emergencies. I kept extra savings in case Rachel lost another job. I avoided long trips in case our father needed business help. I postponed replacing my car because our mother's expenses came first. I had become so skilled at rescuing them that I had never built a life requiring my own courage. I accepted a regional assignment I had previously declined twice. It placed me in charge of a technical team reviewing flood resilience projects across several coastal counties. I also began seeing a licensed therapist, Dr. Avery Shaw. During one session, she asked why I continued reading every family email. One might be important, I said. What would make it important? Someone could be in trouble. And what has your family taught you happens when they are in trouble? That I'm responsible. Hearing that belief aloud made it sound as irrational as it was. I created one email address for legal family communication and filtered everything else. When our mother wrote that our father was barely surviving, I asked whether he required medical care. She admitted he was only worried about the company. I didn't respond. When Rachel said she was homeless, a cousin confirmed she was living in our parents' furnished guest room. I didn't respond. Silence felt unnatural. Then it began to feel like oxygen. By spring, I had saved more money than expected. The amount wasn't life-changing, but what it represented was 4 months in which nobody converted my effort into a solution for their avoidance. Ethan and I took a short trip to Cumberland Island. On the last evening, I realized I had gone an entire day without thinking about Rachel. Relief came first, followed by guilt. Dr. Shaw had warned me that guilt doesn't always mean you have done something wrong. Sometimes it means you have stopped doing what others trained you to do. 2 weeks later, Our mother called from an unfamiliar number and left a voicemail saying Rachel had been taken to the hospital. The old panic returned immediately. Before calling my mother, I contacted the hospital. Rachel had been treated for dehydration and a panic attack, was stable, and had already been discharged. Our mother had omitted that part. "I didn't know whether you would call otherwise," she admitted. That sentence erased my uncertainty. She said the family wanted to meet, apologize, and settle the investigation. I agreed to one meeting, not because I believed them, but because Marissa and I had been waiting for exactly that offer. We met in a private room at a restaurant near Shem Creek. I arrived with Ethan, while Marissa waited in the main dining area under another reservation. Our mother looked exhausted. Our father had lost weight, and Rachel wore a plain sweater instead of one of her expensive social media outfits. For the first 10 minutes, no one mentioned money. Our mother apologized for appearing at my workplace. Our father admitted that listing me as a compliance officer had been poor judgment. Rachel said her Christmas joke had been cruel. They used careful phrases: poor judgment instead of fraud, cruel joke instead of public humiliation, fear instead of harassment. I listened anyway. Then our father placed a folder on the table. "We want to end this legally and personally," he said. The lender had agreed not to pursue the application if I confirmed that the situation was a family misunderstanding. The document stated that I had expressed general willingness to support the business and that our father had reasonably interpreted it as permission to submit the loan. In exchange, they promised not to request financial assistance for 12 months. "What happens after 12 months?" I asked. Our mother said we would revisit things as a family. "So you're offering to stop exploiting me for 1 year?" Rachel objected, but that was exactly what the document meant. Our father warned that the lender might refer the matter for prosecution. Our mother whispered, "Your father could face criminal charges." "I know." Rachel stared at me. "You would let Dad go to jail?" "I didn't submit false documents." Our father struck the table. "You came pretending you wanted reconciliation. Mom said you wanted to apologize. We did apologize. An apology requiring me to sign a lie is another transaction." Rachel demanded to know what I wanted. The truth. I placed 3 printed pages on the table. The first was Rachel's email to our father. "Use Claire's old signature file. She'll complain, but she always gives in once Mom cries." The second was our mother's message: "Don't tell Claire until the credit is approved. She worries too much when she sees numbers." The third was Rachel's $12,000 marketing invoice. Their faces changed one by one. "How did you get those?" Rachel asked. "The lender recovered them during the fraud review." I placed one final document in front of them, a settlement prepared by Marissa. I would not seek personal financial damages and would cooperate truthfully without requesting extra penalties. In return, our father had to admit in writing that I had never authorized the loan or served as a compliance officer. The company had to remove my name from every record. My family had to stop contacting my workplace, stop making false statements, and communicate only through a designated email for 2 years. Rachel had to publish a correction explaining that she had rejected a conditional housing agreement after publicly mocking me. Our father pushed the document away. "This makes us look guilty. You are guilty. It could destroy my reputation. You used mine as collateral." Our mother asked what would happen if they refused. I explained that Marissa would continue the civil case and that I would release the live stream, emails, and security footage if Rachel made another false accusation. Rachel called it blackmail. I told her my attorney had reviewed every line and that they were free to refuse. Marissa entered after receiving my message. Our father stared at me. "You planned this." "I prepared for it. This is revenge." "Revenge would be lying about you, using your identity, and laughing while you tried to save your home." This is documentation. They argued over every clause. Our father wanted the admission private. Rachel refused the correction. Our mother objected to the communication limit. I didn't negotiate. Eventually, our father accused me of enjoying their suffering. I wanted one Christmas where my family saw me as a person, I said. Instead, you proved you saw me as a signature. They didn't sign that night. As Ethan and I crossed the parking lot, Rachel ran after us. Did you ever love me? The question was meant to return us to our old roles. She would be the abandoned sister, and I would prove my love through sacrifice. I loved you every time I rescued you, I said. But you only felt loved when rescue had a dollar amount. She cried, but I didn't hug her. 3 days later, all three signed. The investigation did not send my father to prison. Because the application had been frozen before funds were released, the lender accepted a formal withdrawal and his written admission. The incident remained on the company's financial record, making traditional borrowing far more difficult. Whitmore Marine Supply survived, but not in the form he wanted. He closed the expensive showroom, moved into a smaller warehouse, sold stagnant inventory, and reduced overhead. 2 workers left voluntarily, but the remaining employees kept their jobs because he finally operated according to the money the company actually earned. At first, he hated me for forcing him to face reality. Our mother increased her hours at the church office, sold the vehicle I had helped finance, and purchased an older car with smaller payments. Through the approved email address, she wrote that she had spent years confusing protection with love. I didn't immediately forgive her. Acknowledgement is not repair. It is only the first tool needed to begin it. Rachel published her correction a week after signing. She admitted that my gift offered 4 months of rent under conditions designed to help her become stable, and that she mocked me before reading them. The correction received fewer views than her accusation. That taught me that lies are entertaining while corrections feel like paperwork. You still tell the truth, because your life should not be governed by the audience that preferred the lie. Rachel remained with our parents for 8 months. She sold designer bags, camera equipment, and the car she could no longer afford. Eventually, she accepted an entry-level scheduling job at a dental office and was promoted to patient coordinator 6 months later. Her lifestyle account became quieter. Occasionally, she posted inexpensive meal plans and budgeting tips. Nearly a year after Christmas, she emailed me. I understand now that you weren't trying to make me feel small. I already felt small, and humiliating you was easier than admitting I needed help. I'm sorry. I waited 3 days before responding. Thank you for saying that. I hope you keep building a life you can support. I didn't offer money, invite her to stay, or announce that everything was forgiven. For the first time, our communication didn't require my surrender. My relationship with our father remained distant. He complied with the settlement but never offered a complete apology. He said he regretted how the application had been handled, as though the documents had submitted themselves. I eventually accepted that accountability cannot be extracted like a debt payment. A person either chooses it or continues living without your trust. I skipped the next family Christmas. Ethan and I rented a cabin near Asheville, exchanged 2 modest gifts, and turned off our phones. At noon, I realized nobody was shouting my name. The silence didn't feel like abandonment. It felt safe. The following year, our mother invited me to a family lunch in a neutral location. She included the guest list, time, and a written promise that money would not be discussed. I agreed to stay for 90 minutes. Rachel greeted me politely. Our father nodded. Nobody demanded an emotional reunion. During the meal, an aunt asked whether Rachel still lived with our parents. No, she said. I rent a studio near work. Our mother smiled. She pays for it herself. There was genuine pride in her voice, the kind once reserved for Rachel's dreams rather than her discipline. Rachel looked across the table at me, And I remembered the envelope, the laughter, and her claim that I wasn't needed by the family. She had been wrong in one way and right in another. They had needed my salary, credit, credentials, and willingness to panic whenever they struggled. But needing what I provided was never the same as valuing who I was. Once I stopped providing it, they had two choices: collapse or change. They did a little of both. Our father lost the version of his company built on hidden debt. Our mother lost the comfort of letting me manage every crisis. Rachel lost her apartment, false image of effortless success, and belief that consequences were cruelty. Those were not punishments I invented. They were bills that had been forwarded to me for years and finally returned to their rightful owners. I paid a price too. I lost the fantasy that patience would eventually earn respect, relatives who preferred a convenient villain, and the role that made me feel essential even while destroying me. But I learned that a boundary is not a speech. It is a decision that remains after the crying begins. Forgiveness does not require renewed access. Financial help without accountability can become a form of harm because it protects people from the experiences that might teach them to change. Most importantly, love should never require one person to become smaller so everyone else can remain comfortable. People sometimes ask whether taking back the Christmas envelope was petty. My answer is no. Rachel rejected the gift. My family laughed at the person offering it. I believed them. I didn't celebrate when Rachel lost her apartment, when our father downsized, or when our mother began working longer hours. Their struggle was painful, but struggle is not always abuse. Sometimes it is the first honest teacher a person has encountered. Had I continued paying Rachel's rent, she might still believe employment was optional. Had I protected our father from the lender, he might have forged another document during the next crisis. Had I accepted our mother's tears as accountability, she might still be calling my workplace whenever I refused her. Saving them would have preserved the behavior destroying all of us. That is the sharpest lesson I carried away from that Christmas. Unconditional love does not mean unconditional access to your money, identity, home, career, or peace. You can love someone and refuse to fund their denial. You can remember their good qualities and still document their threats. You can hope they change without standing close enough to be harmed while they decide. Sometimes the most loving sentence is not, "I forgive you." Sometimes it is, "This consequence belongs to you." So ask yourself, if your family only calls you loyal when you are paying, fixing, apologizing, or surrendering, do they truly value you, or do they value your usefulness? I know my answer now. I am Claire Whitmore. I am not my family's emergency account, borrowed signature, or silent insurance policy. I am no longer needed in the way they once needed me, and that is exactly why I am finally free.
Thank you for being part of this fictional journey with us. All situations in the story are created only for entertainment, education, and reflection. We hope to remind you that you cannot heal it in the same place that keeps reopening the wound. Choosing a new direction may feel frightening, but staying where you are repeatedly hurt can cost you far more.